Hi, Tabassum. I'm happy to see more essays from you. Let's get right into your corrections of what you said. Different cultures are mixing today, and the world is becoming a global village. Is this a positive or negative development? To what extent do you support it? Okay. Globalization has brought prosperity in the contemporary world. Cultures of different regions are intertwined with each other, and the world is developing into a unique village. This essay will discuss why I completely agree that this is a positive development because it causes economic prosperity and well-being of people. Okay, fine, great. The main reason why mixing cultures and making the world a global village. Careful, don't try to copy the language from up here too much. You already have different cultures and global village. It's a little too similar, okay? Is beneficial is because it opens the door for a free market economy. This means countries are doing business by exporting and importing different products with other countries. That brings foreign currency and more business opportunities. As a result, many countries' gross national income has increased and they become wealthy nations. For example, the reason for China's booming economy's global economic market is the global economic market that allows China to manufacture various products and export to foreign nations. This is also true for Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and many more. In short, to alleviate poverty, to the poverty of a nation, because it's a specific poverty, okay? It's not just poverty in general, but because you're saying it's poverty that belongs to a specific type of poverty, that is, the poverty of a nation, it has to have a the. Globalization acted as a catalyst by buttressing, okay, fine, economic growth, yes. Okay, the second reason, not of. The second reason, you could have said in favor of, or you could have said the second reason to support interweaving, right? Something like that, but not just of. So the second reason to support the interweaving, no, the second reason to support interweaving various cultures and developing the world into a global village is that it allows people to share their ideas, experiences, and lifestyles with other people. Now, people can experience the foods and other products of different countries that were not previously available in their native countries. For example, the dwellers of Dhaka City can easily taste Italian or Mexican foods and buy high-end fashion cloths. If you mean clothes, there should be an E here. Of international retailers from online. Not from online, just online. Okay? Or you could have said from online stores. That's okay. Therefore, it enhances the quality of life. Period. Clearly, it is a positive development. Okay. Making the world into a global village is important because it brings economic growth and gives people the chance to experience diverse culture. In my opinion, I can't talk today, I'm sorry. In my opinion, I completely support this development because of its positive outcomes. Okay. This is lovely. It's really very nice. I felt like this needed a little more development. I mean, obviously you have a number of sentences, but it's also what you include in those sentences. So, I mean, you talked about sharing ideas, experiences, and lifestyles, but the only thing you really talked about was food and clothing. So I wanted you to get maybe a little bit more into the ideas, into the... Let's see, what else? Yeah, not so much just products, but also, like, what kinds of things do we adopt from other countries? Like, okay, let me give you one example. I know that in certain parts of the world where Christianity is not a big religion, or not a major religion, a lot of cultures have adopted certain cultural practices related to Christmas, and you know, a lot of people like it, and it's not necessarily religious in those countries, but it is kind of like this warm, wintry, sort of lovely, family-oriented holiday. Okay, so that's something that you could have talked about, which is like an idea or a cultural element, okay, rather than just, you know, fashion and clothing. All right, but it's a nice job overall. I liked it. You did really, really well. All right, let's move on to this interesting line graph. Ooh, long. Okay, right away I can tell you looking at this, it's a little too long. All right, let's see what happened and how we can potentially shrink this a bit. Okay, the given line graph represents how much rainfall happened in rainfall. Why don't you just say this instead? You don't really say that rainfall happens. So, the given line graph illustrates the amount of rainfall in millimeters in England, Scotland, and Wales over the year. Fine. Overall, the rainfall in 3 different regions significantly changed in 2018. The amount of rainfall in England increased in February, April, July, September, and October, while it decreased in March, May, June, August, and October. Wait, how is that possible? It increased in October and decreased in October? No, I think you've missed something here. The rainfall in Scotland was hugely unstable over the year. I don't like hugely. Was very. Very would have been fine. Where it went upward in January and March, and slightly in May, July, October, and December, and the rest of the months it went down. No, not it went downward. It fell. Okay, that's all. The rainfall in Wales wasn't steady and okay. If this is your overview, it's way too much information. All right. Now, an overview for this should have just been that. Okay. An overview for this. Let's see. If I were to say something, I would say that overall, the rainfall in all 3 periods, in all 3 regions fluctuated considerably, with the most stable rainfall occurring in England. Now, why do I say it's the most stable? Because if you look at this dark blue line, England has not as much variation as the other 2 regions. Okay? So that's why I said that, and that's all you need for your overview. All of this here, if you consider this your overview, is just really too much, okay? Remember, the overview is supposed to show you the main trend. It's supposed to give you just like a general kind of idea of what you're looking at, and nothing more. Okay. The rainfall in England in February was more... Why are you starting with February? When you have a graph like this, really, I mean, think about like books and movies and things. They're telling a story. So start with the really key points here are the beginning. All right, the reader needs to know where these things are in the beginning. The reader needs to know where they end, okay? Because like in any story, the beginning and the end are super important. And then the reader needs to know those really important points in the middle, but just the really important ones. So let's take a look. The rainfall in England in February was more than 100,000 ml, but it went below 100. But it fell in March, and similarly, why? I still don't understand February. Why have you started with February? Okay, I really don't know. Okay, increased in April and May respectively, which is more than on the other hand, whereas the rainfall in Scotland was less than 50,000 in February. I think you mean a comma here. It was less than 50,000 ml, comma, in February. It drastically increased to more than... I'm so confused. No, I think... Whereas rainfall in Scotland was less than 50,000 ml in February, comma, it drastically increased to more than 100,000 in March, and then again fell down below 50,000 in April. The line showed a downward trend of rainfall amount in June for each region. It means rainfall in the 3 regions went down below 100 before growing toward more than 100,000 in the next month. England had more than 100. Okay, but Wales had below from August to October. England showed upward. No, England. All right, I'm really finding this very difficult to read and follow for a lot of reasons. Let's see. England showed an upward line. No, England just showed an upward trend, or England showed an increase from November to December, whereas Wales's rainfall increased more than 100,000. It increased more than 100,000, or increased to more than 100,000? Because if you tell me it increased more than 100,000, it's as if you're saying it was at, like, say, 50,000 and then increased to 150. So be careful with these expressions. Okay, and considerably went down. Okay, and went down considerably. You have to reverse this. Scotland had 50,000 ml rainfall in November. That grew. Okay, this is really very difficult to follow. There were a lot of things you could have done here. Now I know that when you get this video correction back, you'll get a sample of how this could be done. There's not just one way you can do it. There are multiple ways you can do it. What I would recommend is probably starting with England, okay, and then just going through these major things. So like I said again, starting with where England was in January, okay, And then talking about like some of these major dips, like down here. Okay, so this is a dip, and then this is really important, and then, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. You don't have to talk about every single dip and rise. So what you could do is you could say that between July and December, the numbers fluctuated between maybe 90,000, okay, which was the low in October, to a high of, what number is that? Maybe 120,000 in December. All right, so that way you pick a period and then you say, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with it. But you give me what's that lowest point and what's that highest point. So that's a cleaner way of describing this without going into details. Like, okay, in March it did this, and April did this, and May did that. Okay, it's too much. And you're not going to have time to do all of that because you know what you have here? You have 36 pieces of information. You can't possibly talk about all of them. So you're going to need to find a way to group some of this. All right? I hope that helps. This one needed some work. This one needed a lot of editing. All right? Because remember, they're checking to see not only your language skills, but also checking to see, you know, can you select the highlights and the most important points to mention without leaving any important things out. And I'm trying to explain to you how you can do that by like selecting, just grouping. It's really a lot about grouping. Like this is something you absolutely must group here. All right. So I hope that is helpful. I'd like to see your revision of this. So I'll let you get to that, correct these essays, your error correction list, and new essays. All right. So good luck with all of that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the next ones from you.